which I hope will be attended by all of you. And we hope that we can continue with this broad and not simple discussion. I hope that at the end I will be able to reiterate the importance of these cooperation spaces. We are living in a complex world, a world that offers and poses many challenges that demand that science, innovation, and technology play a key role so that we can face those challenges. We have been hearing that there is a constraint, and the constraint is resources. We have to acknowledge it. It has been said already that investment in R&D in Latin America and the Caribbean is 2%, human resources a little bit more than 4%. And when you take a look at the GDP and other benchmarks, and the proportional population of this world, of this part of the world, is 8%. So potentially we still have room to grow, at least to reach the levels of our own proportion of population. But the big challenge, and I would have liked to speak before José Miguel because he did much better than I did, it's not just a matter of resources. There is a challenge which has to do with the use of those resources. How are we going to manage them? So the issue is how to incorporate those resources. So as I said, we are facing a complex world with complex challenges and with technologies that are disruptive and lead us to rethink our reality every day. And at the same time, and this is something that I highlight in other places, but which is very relevant, is that we're talking about science, technology, and innovation as something that is indivisible. But nonetheless, those are three different things that need to be coordinated. And of course, that is complex. And they require aligned policies so that they can reach common objectives, but they are not replaceable between or among each other or indistinguishable. It's different when you design policies for science and when you design technology than when you design policy for innovation. So this renders the design even more complex. And if we look at the same time at the level of territorial complexity and territorial scope, the scientific or science in general is something that happens at the very highest aggregate level, while innovation happens at the most local level in the territory. So this adds yet another dimension of complexity to the analysis, plus temporality. As José Miguel was saying, 2 years to be able to structure one problem. How much does it take us? How long does it take us to train a PhD or a doctor? And all this goes beyond the time of any government administration. So we need a much more efficient state, a much better prepared public management that can deal with these challenges, the capability to have a strong public administration, because if we understand the size of the problem, we identify even the best tools, we can design them, but we don't have the capacity, capability for implementation and follow-up, we will go towards failure and we won't be able to do what we need to do and what we set ourselves to do. And sometimes I think that when the setting or the scenario is too complex, you need to go back to the simplest questions. And I believe that it happens to us that we lose sight of the basic question. What is the problem of public policy that we are trying to address? Why do we want to create a policy? What are we looking for? Why do we have to have science, technology, and innovation? And probably it is a question that could be a tricky question, because the answer is that we are going to be using science, technology, and innovation to solve the problem. But it doesn't work that way. We need to identify, it's a demand-driven thing. We need to identify the problem so that we can apply science and technology and innovation to deal with it. So why do I do this policy on science and technology and innovation? Why do I train more PhDs? Why do I develop more scholarship programs? What am I looking for with these policies? What is it that I'm going to give back to society so that society can finance my effort with public resources? And I think that is a challenge that we all face. What is it that we can obtain with science, technology, and innovation? And on the other side, and I'll go back to the complex agendas and the ever-advancing technologies.
We could talk about it in the level of artificial intelligence, neurology, or what is happening with biology, biotechnology. All these are linked to the volumes of knowledge that has to be managed and that overcome any country. I'm sure that they overcome the level of all the countries in our region. And so there's a need for space of dialogue to create common agenda and see how we can establish certain instruments that will allow us to approach these challenges in a joint manner and not in an isolated way. Of course, each country has its own priorities, but this region that I like to call the most homogeneously heterogeneous is the one where we have many diversity, but where we share many agendas. And these challenges should at least help us identifying these common problems in order to align the efforts we are making. And if someone individually was not able to find the what, well, then the neighbor can help us. So I'd like to end like this now. Thank you very much, Guillermo. I'll give the floor now to Marva Howell for the Ministry of Industry of Barbados.
ECLAC for inviting Barbados to participate, and also the host country, Colombia, for hosting this very important meeting. My voice is a bit raspy, but I hope you can understand me. If it is accepted that science, technology, and innovative instruments will help countries advance or gain economic growth, productive and social development, then it is imperative that we understand what instruments are to be used, prioritize those areas that can bring about such gains, as opposed to attempting to do everything all at once. Also of importance, governments must acknowledge their limitations, be it skills deficits or a lack of finances, and be willing to collaborate with the private sector, academia, civil society, source outside funding, and work with territories that have already achieved successes utilizing innovative instruments. We must be cognizant of the human factor in the design of innovative policies using science and technology that are designed to enhance the quality of lives of the populations that we serve, be it the most vulnerable, women, the differently able, and at-risk youth. In 2018, the government established the Ministry of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology. Today, we are still seeking to recruit the right mix of personnel to fill critical vacant posts, acknowledging the aging population and skills deficit in the areas of science and technology. Where possible, we have sought to contract professionals from other countries who have the expertise and experience to fill vacancies and to work with locals with the intention of transferring skills and knowledge through training, coaching, and mentoring. Under the Ministry of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, we have a number of departments and agencies. I wouldn't name all, but Instrumental to my presentation, Export Barbados, formerly the Barbados Investment and Development Corporation, the Barbados National Standards Institute, Science Market Research and Innovation, and in September 2023, the government established GovTech Barbados, which is to lead inter alia the digital transformation agenda and work with the tech community and creatives to develop apps and other innovative inventions, and work with small entrepreneurs to offer safe spaces for innovation hubs and to access finance. Barbados has a dwindling population, less than 300,000, and it's an aging population. Barbados has always experienced a brain drain, where persons look for opportunities for work and financial gains to be able to look after themselves and their families. COVID-19 taught us a lot, and one such lesson was and remains the need to reduce dependency on our number one financial earner, tourism. The government, in seeking to diversify the economy, has placed special focus on the following areas: addressing the dangers of climate change through a roof-to-reef program looking to build resilience in our infrastructure, developing the green energy sector, establishment of a life sciences center, and embarking, as I said before, on an ambitious digital transformation program, focusing on finding digital solutions that are customer-centric. I have already mentioned our limited capacity as this relates to finances, human resources, technical know-how. Initiatives to change all of this are being implemented through Export Barbados, the Prime Minister's Office, and the Ministry of Energy and Business Development, where part of the annual budget is allocated to R&D, even though a very small amount when compared to other countries. Some of the projects that we have started, a CMOS project, because Barbados has a very small landmass, but is surrounded by lots of water, we are seeking to capitalize on the blue economy. This project was developed to diversify and extend the relatively narrow base of export products from Barbados, increase the country's critical foreign exchange earning capacity, and explore avenues for employment, income generation, and upskilling of human resources. The Life Sciences Center, in establishing the Life Sciences Center, Export Barbados engaged with various stakeholders and utilized a consultant to develop first a strategy and then an implementation plan for the Life Sciences Center. It is envisaged that Barbados will serve as a hub for the Caribbean and to reduce our dependence on the tourist industry. The life sciences sector was prioritized due to its impact on equity and well-being, while allowing the island to leverage its existing strengths in agriculture and the food sciences. We also use of artificial intelligence. Export Barbados developed INES AI Estate Management, which is a bespoke property management application specifically designed to assist BIDC in the day-to-day management of its 11 industrial estates. The AI-powered tool was developed by local expertise and integrates advanced technology to enhance the corporation's operational efficiency. How are we doing all of this? Recognizing our limitations through bilateral partnerships, developing a transatlantic bridge between the Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa to develop and manufacture pharmaceuticals, which will help in our health sector, with partnership with Rwanda and Guyana, looking in terms of, I said, innovation, structure, branding of our different products, and export and diversification. I reiterate that we cannot do it alone if we want to build capacity while at the same time achieving sustainable and positive economy and social development. It's important that we seek to develop a knowledge economy and a society and place more emphasis on finances in research and development. Understanding that it would not be possible for all ministries, departments, and agencies to have research units, our adequate resources, human and financial, must be placed in those key MDAs. And where possible, as I said, attract foreign investors that are willing to finance R&D initiatives that could result in economic and productive benefits to countries. Barbados has also established the Enterprise Growth Fund Limited, which provides venture capital to small and medium-sized enterprises operating in the areas of agriculture, renewable energy, innovation, and manufacturing. As I said, all of the above, we are still operating without a national policy on science, technology, and innovation. That is important to set not only a regulatory framework, but to ensure that we use the scarce resources wisely and work in collaboration with other partners. Also, it's important to have a paradigm shift in thinking. A mindset shift within government is crucial for the successful adoption of science, technology, and innovation initiatives. We must overcome risk aversion. Traditionally, governments may favor established solutions and be hesitant to invest in new, unproven technologies. A mindset shift encourages embracing calculated risks associated with STI, recognizing the potential for long-term benefits, fostering collaboration. Effective STI implementation often requires collaboration between government agencies, research institutions, and the private sector. A new mindset breaks down silos and encourages cross-disciplinary approaches. Embracing change. Technological advancements happen rapidly. Governments with a fixed mindset might struggle to adopt policies and regulations to keep pace. A growth mindset fosters agility and the ability to learn and adapt to a continuously evolving technological landscape. Prioritizing long-term vision. STI investments often have long-term payoffs. A mindset shift encourages governments to look beyond immediate budgetary constraints and see STI as an investment in the future. Promoting innovation culture. A government that champions STI sends a strong message to its citizens and businesses. This mindset shift can spark a national culture of innovation, attracting talent and investment, starting in the schools, be it primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions. For the last 4 years, the ministry partners with the University of the West Indies Scalefield campus to host a science and technology festival, thus stimulating young minds. As I close, and as we chart the work for the next 2 years, I would wish, as we have discussed the strengths and achievements of the various countries represented here, that special consideration is given to establishing technical cooperation initiatives for ministries that have responsibility for science, technology, and innovation, just as the OAS does through REAL, which facilitates solutions through dialogue amongst ministries of labor in the region. This can only lead to results-based cooperation and innovative instruments once territories are truly willing to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marva. The floor goes to Daniel Stagno, specialist in the Competitiveness, Technology and Innovation Division of the IDB. Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much, both to ECLAC and the Government of Colombia, and especially to the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation for the invitation. The good part of being the last one is that I can say many things, but I cannot repeat what has been already said. And so I will focus on some of the issues that have been mentioned by my colleagues and give some instruments to face that situation. But before I do that, a brief diagnosis of problem, more focused on applied research and technological and entrepreneurial development. In our bank, we find that one of the major issues in terms of entrepreneurial innovation, there's very few funds and resources to invest and little knowledge on the part of the firms of the available instruments and of the available technologies and the possibility to improve their operation and the support by the government. This on the one hand. On the hand of the state, we find that there is a strong sub-investment. Just to give you an example, the University of Johnston in the U.S. invests more in the research and development more than the whole of Latin America. So there's a challenge, and there are two questions. One, how do we achieve to create a convincing argument so that investment in research and development will increase? And on the other hand, how can we build with little resources? How can we develop with little resources? And the third is the coordination failures in the ecosystem or in the innovation systems, failures of coordination both between public and private, as well as in the public sector actors. Based on these premises, what can we think in terms of instruments? The central part of my presentation is that we need to focus instruments in agreement to the market failure or the difficulty we face, because in Latin America we have many instruments, but we find there is little resources on average for each beneficiary of the instrument, and too many of these instruments are focused on one part of the puzzle, maybe the part that can be solved with subsidies, but there are many other parts of this puzzle that are not being dealt with the same strength, and we need them all. An example of how to intervene when the knowledge that is generated can be owned by another competitor. Well, we can give a certain kind of subsidy, like tax incentives that already exist in several countries of the region, and the possibility as a tax, because there are failure of coordination and appropriation. It's very difficult that producer with similar capacity coordinates to generate knowledge input that will benefit all. So you can agree on the fact that a third party can charge you a tax, and that tax can fund activities of knowledge and research and development. So that tax somehow returns to you the result of that work. And when the firm ignores the possibility that exists and what the technology would help the firm achieve, a part of the technological expansionism transfer can be very important. They exist in the region, but they are not predominant. And usually there is an issue in contacting other important actors in the scene, like university and bodies that can provide these services. This is on the side of the firms. Now, on the side of the state, what can the state do? One, to gain traction on the argument of the investment in STI. Well, it can connect that to the great challenges of the nation. That's one possibility. But maybe the more concrete challenges can be solved and resolve short-term issues. In the Netherlands, as you know, the land is sinking, and so they have invested in hydraulic science to avoid the flooding and to prolong their life. And of course, the Netherlands are the first exporter or hydraulic solution in the world. This is to explain how to create traction. Now, what can the state do with limited resources to promote innovation? Jose Miguel was saying this before, but it's important to highlight it, and that is the public purchase of innovation. Conceptually, they are easy, and the implementation is difficult. In other words, the state is usually the greatest buyer of our countries, and it can represent 20% of the total expenses. How can we use this purchase power to promote the innovating system, and so that this is used as a support to other initiatives that already exist? So the state, as I said, is very large, and it buys a lot, but it doesn't buy well. And the state doesn't buy solution, it buys goods and products. And then this way we limit the possibility of innovating. While if you buy solution, at least the opportunity is open. Now, this is not easy. It's easy to say, but not to do. First, it requires a change in the mentality of purchasing and the capacity to achieve this, the capacity to identify, structure a problem, then the capacity to change this onto a bill of requirements. It takes time, but also needs creativity. When the state has this kind of list of requirements and offers it in a bidding process, will receive a number of proposals, and then those who have innovating merit, those who have pre-commercial technology that could be helped, and others that are commercial and can be adopted. This opens the door to a new market, new possibility, and the dynamicity of a new system. Similarly, I'd like to end that has been mentioned by the representative of Barbados and Dominican Republic, and that is the funding. Many times, much is done through subsidy, this grant, but a lot has to be done to connect the firms with finance and capital markets. So it's not the state that necessarily put the resources, but others do. Of course, here the fail is the asymmetric information failure. Much of the collateral that these companies have is intangible. When you research and develop, that is intelligible, and it cannot be used as collateral when you go to a bank. The other part is that many of these businesses have recently been in the market and don't have an history background, so they cannot really receive banking loans. A possibility to attack this are the so-called technological or innovation guarantees, a mechanism by which the state or third party provides a very specialized technical service to analyze the merits and the risk of a technology, not of a company, of a technology. And so this way issue a concept that then becomes a guarantee letter that goes to the bank. So the bank not only has the collateral and the historical background, but also the technical analysis of the technology and a guarantee of that technology, changing the profile of the company. This has worked particularly well in Korea, and there are several countries of the country that are applying not identical scheme, but similar. And this can be an interesting option for Latin America because differently from credit, the guarantee leverages. So when if you put $1 of guarantee, you can leverage $10 of loan. So that can be a way to connect for high potential firms and innovators with the credit market. I'm going to leave it here, but the final point of my intervention is to say As the representative of Barbados said, a lot is done, but not necessarily we should be doing so much. So these events are a good moment to to evaluate what is being done, why it is being done, and what are the mechanisms that are being used to do what has to be done. Thank you very much. Daniel, I'm going to take 2 minutes, not to make a summary, but to highlight some elements of this conversation that I think should be interesting to take on in the next period of work under the presidency of Colombia. The importance of go back to the origin. Why are we doing all this? The importance of the objectives intended to the welfare of everyone as ultimate goal. The coordination of actors, and to the extent that the measure means everything for means something for everything, that it will be more impactful. A policy of STI that separates two types of actors: those who do science and who do innovation. Those who do the science are the university, and those who do innovations are the companies, and we have instruments dedicated to both, but we have to get in the intersection of these two worlds, where some of the instruments that could contribute to these supporting the side of the demand to the businesses could be innovating public purchasing or procurement. There are several problems and capacity inside the different governments, and there is a difficulty in articulating the problems, the institution, and the solution. So it's important to find the solution of this problem and go back to the question of why are we doing what we are doing. And it has been said that small countries, the capacity are not found in the country, but some kind of transfer can take place to complement the capacity of the government to design, implement, and execute policy. And among the elements of innovation, together with innovating public procurement, how to articulate with the financial system and finding innovating initiatives that allow businesses to find resources that are always limited for this kind of project. I'd like to stop here. This is kind of a summary and reflection on which we could work. I'll close this panel and I'll give the floor to the minister. Thank you very much to all the panelists for this important space of discussion. We thank also the moderator, important lesson learned and challenges to continue in the discussion of instruments for sustainable, inclusive, productive development. We will have a short break now, and we will be back at 5 p.m. to continue with the agenda. Thank you very much.
Nosotros como MISAC siempre hemos vivido del territorio, de la tierra, porque se dice que si el ser MISAC no tiene tierra, no tiene nada.
Tener acceso al alimento y garantizar que este sea suficiente, sano y proporcional a nuestras necesidades se ha constituido en un dilema en el mundo actual. hemos venido a conocer una experiencia de resistencia que nos muestra desde las montañas de la Cordillera Central, en el departamento del Cauca, un ejemplo encomiable de lo que se considera lograr la meta humanizante en materia de soberanía alimentaria y un relato de control autónomo de su territorio y sus recursos naturales.
Nosotros como seres humanos también somos semillas. La semilla tiene un valor muy importante, que es la que garantiza la pervivencia del ser humano y todos los pueblos.
La etnobotánica y el conocimiento guayú ha sido heredada no solo para garantizar la sobrevivencia de esta población en el desierto guajiro, sino para servir de repertorio a esta vida rústica y desértica que sería esquiva a muchos otros grupos humanos con el nivel de éxito que observamos en esta población indígena del país.
Fundamental las plantas en este oficio, en sus saberes, porque todo es a base de plantas. Los mismos espíritus le dicen a ella, dependiendo de la enfermedad, cuál es la planta.
Ellos no creen mucho, desconfían de la terapéutica occidental. Es por eso que siempre acuden a los piaches, o sea, a los ausú y ausí y hierbatera para curar los síntomas y enfermedades que lo aquejan.
Lo que hemos buscado durante este tiempo es juntar las dos visiones, la visión científica con la visión ancestral, donde lo que queremos es que los chicos defiendan sus tradiciones desde la ciencia.
Para nosotros la pesca artesanal es una cuestión de derechos humanos, es una cuestión de vida digna.
La semilla, la alimentación garantiza la pervivencia de una humanidad.
Es un tema de dignidad humana.
Aquí está el arraigo más importante de la ancestralidad y es por eso tan importante valorar la conservación de este patrimonio.
Hay muchas cosas que hablar, hay muchas cosas que cuidar, hay muchas cosas que unir. Y esto es bueno, que las dos experiencias que se viven en esta tierra, pues la experiencia científica occidental y la tradicional, que se unan.
Que nos permitan afianzar toda esta historia que hemos traído y que tenemos, que vamos a continuar, nos reconozca.
A mí me da risa porque la gente piensa que tiene que ser una cosa o la otra. Y eso nunca se ha tratado el diálogo.
Mirar al pasado sí, pero para tomar aliento, para tomar historia, para tomar investigación de lo que ha pasado.
El conocimiento científico por sí solo no es suficiente y el conocimiento tradicional por sí solo tal vez tampoco. Es mucho más enriquecedor el diálogo que los saberes por sí solos.
Porque una cosa no quita la otra, pero eso sí, cuando nos damos la oportunidad, una cosa puede nutrir la otra. Y ahí es que ocurre la magia. Y como científicos, esa es nuestra labor. Eso es lo que estamos buscando.
No quiere decir de que yo venga a enseñarles a ellos cosas relacionadas con sus formas de vida. Al contrario.
La protección asegurará que nosotros podamos felizmente algún día entendernos a nosotros mismos.
Porque es nuestro deber como científicos es cuestionarnos frente al mundo que nos rodea.
Que logremos encontrar un propósito de identidad que aún los colombianos no encontramos. Que logremos entender cuáles son esas raíces profundas que nos unen con este entorno, pero no lo hemos sabido valorar en lo más mínimo.
esa oportunidad entre las dos experiencias científicas tradicional y científica occidental hace que se unan porque el mundo necesita eso. Si no se unen en el futuro, nosotros no vamos a existir.
Colombia es epicentro de la ciencia, la tecnología y la innovación de América Latina y el Caribe. La cuarta reunión de la Conferencia de Ciencia, Innovación y Tecnologías de la Información y las Comunicaciones de la Comisión Económica para América Latina y el Caribe, CEPAL, representa un espacio crucial donde altas autoridades se congregan con el objetivo de impulsar el desarrollo sostenible de la región. Bajo el liderazgo del Gobierno del Cambio, esta reunión visionaria posicionará a nuestro país como líder en ciencia, tecnología e innovación. Así, se proyecta el futuro de la región mediante la creación de instrumentos innovadores con un enfoque territorial que promueva la productividad con equidad económica, social y ambiental. La reunión de la CEPAL es una de las actividades destacadas de este 2024 declarado como el Año de la Ciencia en Colombia. Colombia, potencia de la vida.
Hoy realizaremos una travesía excepcional de conservación para la preservación de las tortugas acuáticas en las riberas del majestuoso río Amazonas, que es un ejemplo de cohesión y esfuerzo colectivo entre comunidades indígenas y la ciencia práctica. ¿Qué significa simbológicamente la tortuga para
La
ustedes?
tortuga significa protección a la mujer indígena.
Ya.
Y de esa manera pues es un animal que nos representa,
claro.
Y así como nos está representando, se están acabando, entonces nuestra preocupación en cuidarlo. Y esto es bueno que la experiencia científica occidental y la tradicional pues, se unan, porque si no se unen en el futuro, nosotros no vamos a existir.
Nosotros como MISAC siempre hemos vivido del territorio, de la tierra, porque se dice que si el ser MISAC no tiene tierra, no tiene nada.
Tener acceso al alimento y garantizar que este sea suficiente, sano y proporcional a nuestras necesidades se ha constituido en un dilema en el mundo actual. Hemos venido a conocer una experiencia de resistencia que nos muestra desde las montañas de la Cordillera Central, en el departamento del Cauca, un ejemplo encomiable de lo que se considera lograr la meta humanizante en materia de soberanía alimentaria y un relato de control autónomo de su territorio y sus recursos naturales.
Nosotros como seres humanos también somos semillas. La semilla tiene un valor muy importante, que es la que garantiza la pervivencia del ser humano y todos los pueblos.
La etnobotánica y el conocimiento guayú ha sido heredada no solo para garantizar la sobrevivencia de esta población en el desierto guajiro, sino para servir de repertorio a esta vida rústica y desértica que sería esquiva a muchos otros grupos humanos con el nivel de éxito que observamos en esta población indígena del país.
Fundamental las plantas en este oficio, en sus saberes, porque todo es a base de plantas. Los mismos espíritus le dicen a ella, dependiendo de la enfermedad, cuál es la planta.
Ellos no creen mucho, desconfían de la terapéutica occidental. Es por eso que siempre acuden a los piaches, o sea, a los ausui, ausí y hierbatera para curar los síntomas y enfermedades que lo aquejan.
Lo que hemos buscado durante este tiempo es juntar las dos visiones, la visión científica con la visión ancestral, donde lo que queremos es que los chicos defiendan sus tradiciones desde la ciencia.
Para nosotros la pesca artesanal es una cuestión de derechos humanos, es una cuestión de vida digna.
La semilla, la alimentación garantiza la pervivencia de una humanidad.
Es un tema de dignidad humana.
Aquí está el arraigo más importante de la ancestralidad y es por eso tan importante valorar la conservación de este patrimonio.
Hay muchas cosas que hablar, hay muchas cosas que cuidar, hay muchas cosas que unir. Y esto es bueno, que las dos experiencias que se viven en esta tierra, pues la experiencia científica occidental y la tradicional, que se unan.
Que nos permitan afianzar toda esta historia que hemos traído y que tenemos, que vamos a continuar, nos reconozca.
A mí me da risa porque la gente piensa que tiene que ser una cosa o la otra. Y eso nunca se ha tratado el diálogo.
Mirar al pasado sí, pero para tomar aliento, para tomar historia, para tomar investigación de lo que ha pasado.
El conocimiento científico por sí solo no es suficiente y el conocimiento tradicional por sí solo tal vez tampoco. Es mucho más enriquecedor el diálogo que los saberes por sí solos.
Porque una cosa no quita la otra. Pero eso sí, cuando nos damos la oportunidad, una cosa puede nutrir la otra.
Y entendernos a nosotros mismos.
Porque es nuestro deber como científicos es cuestionarnos frente al mundo que nos rodea.
Que logremos encontrar un propósito de identidad que aún los colombianos no encontramos. Que logremos entender cuáles son esas raíces profundas que nos unen con este entorno, pero no lo hemos podido valorar en lo más mínimo.
Esa oportunidad entre las dos experiencias científicas tradicional y científica occidental hace que se unan porque el mundo necesita eso. Si no se unen en el futuro, nosotros no vamos a existir.
Colombia es epicentro de la ciencia, la tecnología y la innovación de América Latina y el Caribe. La cuarta reunión de la Conferencia de Ciencia, Innovación y Tecnologías de la Información y las Comunicaciones de la Comisión Económica para América Latina y el Caribe, CEPAL, representa un espacio crucial donde altas autoridades se congregan con el objetivo de impulsar el desarrollo sostenible de la región. Bajo el liderazgo del Gobierno del Cambio, esta reunión visionaria posicionará a nuestro país como líder en ciencia, tecnología e innovación. Así, se proyecta el futuro de la región mediante la creación de instrumentos innovadores con un enfoque territorial que promueva la productividad con equidad económica, social y ambiental. La reunión de la CEPAL es una de las actividades destacadas de este 2024 declarado como el Año de la Ciencia en Colombia.
Colombia, potencia de la vida.
Hoy realizaremos una travesía excepcional de conservación y la ciencia práctica. ¿Qué significa simbológicamente la tortuga para
La
ustedes?
tortuga significa protección a la mujer indígena.
Ya.
Y de esa manera pues es un animal que nos representa.
Claro.
Y
autónomo de su territorio y sus recursos naturales.
Nosotros como seres humanos también somos semillas. La semilla tiene un valor muy importante, que es la que garantiza la pervivencia del ser humano y todos los pueblos.
La etnobotánica y el conocimiento guayú ha sido heredada no solo para garantizar la sobrevivencia de esta población en el desierto guajiro, sino para servir de repertorio a esta vida rústica y desértica que sería esquiva a muchos otros grupos humanos con el nivel de éxito que observamos en esta población indígena del país.
Fundamental las plantas en este oficio, en sus saberes, porque todo es a base de plantas. Los mismos espíritus le dicen a ella, dependiendo de la enfermedad, cuál es la planta.
Ellos no creen mucho, desconfían de la terapéutica occidental. Es por eso que siempre acuden a los piaches, o sea, a los auxuy, y hierbatera para curar los síntomas y enfermedades que lo aquejan.
Lo que hemos buscado durante este tiempo es juntar las dos visiones, la visión científica con la visión ancestral, donde lo que queremos es que los chicos defiendan sus
Pedimos
tradiciones
a las delegaciones y demás asistentes si pueden ir tomando ubicación en sus lugares para el tramo final de esta conferencia. Muchas gracias.
Para nosotros la pesca artesanal es una cuestión de derechos humanos, es una cuestión de vida digna.
La semilla, la alimentación garantiza la pervivencia de una humanidad.
Es un tema de dignidad humana.
Aquí está el arraigo más importante de la ancestralidad y es por eso tan importante valorar la conservación de este patrimonio.
Hay muchas cosas que hablar, hay muchas cosas que cuidar, hay muchas cosas que unir. Y esto es bueno, que las dos experiencias que se viven en esta tierra, pues la experiencia científica occidental y la tradicional, que se unan.
Que nos permitan afianzar toda esta historia que hemos traído y que tenemos, que vamos a continuar, nos reconozca.
A mí me da risa porque la gente piensa que tiene que ser una cosa o la otra. Y eso nunca se ha tratado el diálogo.
Mirar al pasado sí, pero para tomar aliento, para tomar historia, para tomar investigación de lo que ha pasado.
El conocimiento científico por sí solo no es suficiente y el conocimiento tradicional por sí solo tal vez tampoco. Es mucho más enriquecedor el diálogo que los saberes por sí solos.
Porque una cosa no quita la otra, pero eso sí, cuando nos damos la oportunidad, una cosa puede nutrir la otra. Y ahí es que ocurre la magia. Y como científicos, esa es nuestra labor. Eso es lo que estamos buscando.
No quiere decir de que yo venga a enseñarles a ellos cosas relacionadas con sus formas de vida. Al contrario.
La protección asegurará que nosotros podamos felizmente algún día entendernos a nosotros mismos.
Porque es nuestro deber como científicos es cuestionarnos frente al mundo que nos rodea.
Que logremos encontrar un propósito de identidad que aún los colombianos no encontramos. Que logremos entender cuáles son esas raíces profundas que nos unen con este entorno, pero no lo hemos sabido valorar en lo más mínimo.
Esa oportunidad entre las dos experiencias científicas tradicional y científica occidental hace que se unan porque el mundo necesita eso. Si no se unen en el futuro, nosotros no vamos a existir.
Nuevamente les solicitamos a las delegaciones y a los asistentes
We would like to ask the delegates to take their seats. We are going to start with the last stretch of this conference, of this fourth meeting. Thank you.
Caribe, la cuarta reunión de la Conferencia de Ciencia, Innovación y Tecnologías de la Información y las Comunicaciones de la Comisión Económica para América Latina y el Caribe, CEPAL, representa un espacio crucial donde altas autoridades se congregan con el objetivo de impulsar el desarrollo sostenible de la región.
Gracias, Presidenta. Vamos a dar a conocer la lista de los países.
We will now report the list of the countries that have expressed their interest of being part of the Executive Committee of the Conference on Science, Innovation, Technology, and ICTs of ECLAC for the two-year period until 2020-25. Colombia was elected to the chair, and we had to complete the list of countries that would be part of the Executive Committee and of the Vice Chair. So for 2024-2025, Colombia will be accompanied by Brazil, Costa Rica, Mexico, and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. And this is the composition of the Executive Committee: Brazil, Costa Rica, Mexico, Uruguay, and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. I didn't have an opportunity today because the microphones had not been opened yet, but Argentina would also want to be part of the Executive Committee. And if you agree and consider it, since we handed over the presidency of the past 2 years, we thought it would be interesting to continue the work that we had been doing. So I put it to your consideration. Thank you. We wish to thank the delegate of Argentina. Yes, the previous period had been chaired by the Republic of Argentina, so we include Argentina, Brazil, Costa Rica, Mexico, Uruguay, and Venezuela. This is the composition of the 6 vice presidencies of the Executive Committee of this conference. So we can bring our hands together, please. Thank you. At this point, the countries will consider the approval of the agreements of the fourth meeting of the Conference of Science, Innovation and Technology and ICTs of the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. And for this part, I will hand over to the Secretary. Ladies, gentlemen, delegates, we have circulated a document that you have before you, and these are the agreements of the fourth meeting of the Conference on Science, Technology and Innovation and ICTs of ECLAC. It is the same copy that we handed yesterday. It's a resolution that includes 6 items. It's resolution 1-4. So can we submit it to the approval of the delegates? Yes, we submit the resolution to your approval. Are there any comments? If there are no comments, it is approved. So now we will proceed to the closing of the meeting on behalf of ECLAC. We hand over to Mr. Yáñez. Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation of Colombia, Madam Olaya, Marcos Ginás, Director of the Division of Productive Development of ECLAC, friends, colleagues, delegations. This is the end of 2 days of interesting debates, presentations, and rich exchanges. First of all, I would like to recognize the leadership of the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation of Colombia, Madam Yesenia Olaya, and the chair for these 2 days, and wish her the best of successes in the upcoming 2 years, and to reiterate ECLAC's commitment to be there supporting you in this very important task that begins today. Of course, I would like to mention the fantastic fantastic gesture by the President of Colombia, who received us yesterday at Casa de Nariño to share his reflections about the long history of our region, as well as the development of networks of thinking and research in Latin America and the Caribbean. The President gave us a challenge, and I think that we need to take his words seriously. We need to rethink and find a new perspective for science, technology, and innovation. Also, a special recognition to the countries that will accompany Colombia in these next 2 years, Argentina, Brazil, Costa Rica, Mexico, Uruguay, and Venezuela. And I would also like to thank Brazil because it has offered to be not only part of the executive committee, but also to be the venue for the 5th meeting. Once we have completed our 2-year tasks and activities, let's see what kind of assessment we can make at the time. The approval of this resolution opens a path of collaborative work in the 4 areas of work stream: instruments of science, technology, and innovation for sustainable and productive development, governance in science, technology, and innovation, science, technology, and innovation, and territorial approach, and the strategic sectoral agendas. The debates of these 2 days with the academia, the government, and the private sector have provided us with content, experiences, and initiatives that we interpret as the first step to start to build the answers to the questions that were posed by Marco Ginás on the first day when he presented the document of science, technology, and innovation for productive and sustainable development. We agree that the policies in this area are connected also with the policies of development because of the increase in productivity and because of the creation of new sectors and the recovery of growth, which is so necessary in the region. We feel that this meeting marks a leap that we need to take. We can see the maturity of this body at ECLAC of having the willingness of building an ambitious agenda. We see with satisfaction that this robust work is starting, and I again reiterate the collaboration that ECLAC would always be providing. I would like to finish because I understand that our presentation is at the same time, has been scheduled for the same time at the same time with another show. So we hope that the leadership of Colombia will be recognized and thanked. And of course, ECLAC, under the leadership, one part of it by Marcos Ginás, Mykono Giglio, and also Paul Vander, and a very important team in Santiago. Remember those names because they will be interacting with you in the work groups. So when we say that there's a technical secretariat that will support the work groups, those are the names. And also Emenaria, acting as Secretary of the Commission, and Luis Flores Canejasi, Margarita, Alejandro Morales, San Jose, Guillermo. Thank you very much, Minister. Again, the gratitude of ECLAC and our commitment to support you, accompany you, and our gratitude to for everything, for your leadership, for the space that was created here of great trust, open discussion, tolerance, and candidness. It has been truly a very important and productive and fruitful meeting. Not only the agenda, but the way in which you have led this conference opens a space of trust and transparent dialogue, which we hope will conclude in Brazil after we have accomplished our work. Thank you very much, Minister. I wish to thank all the delegates for their way in which they interacted, their presentations, the experiences that they have shared so generously. Thank you very much to all, and may you have a happy return to your homes. And I reiterate ECLAC's commitment. Thank you very much. Thank you, Secretary Yáñez. Now we will hear from the President and Chair and host of this conference, Yesenia Olaya, the Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation of Colombia. Thank you very much again, and good afternoon to all. On behalf of the national government and of our President, we would like to express our warmest gratitude to Dr. Luis Fidel Yáñez, Secretary of the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, Dr. Marco Ginás, Director of the Division of Productive and Business Development of ECLAC, the members of the fourth meeting of the Conference of Science, Innovation, and ICTs of ECLAC, scientific delegates, special guests, and I would also like to take this opportunity to express gratitude to all the team of the ministry. Thank you very much, team, for making this possible. Please bring your hands together for this valuable team. These 2 days have been wealthy in debates and dialogues designed to create strong bases for the bridge of cooperation that will allow us to join our strengths and talents as nations and as a region to work for the growth of our peoples. We have addressed topics of great importance in the panels that were scheduled to talk about governance, territorial approach, productive development for sciences, technology, and innovation in our Latin America and Caribbean. Thanks to your commitment during this conference, we were able to come up with guidelines for policies and strategies to guide the use and implementation of ICTs with indicators, metrics, goals, and resource allocations, and solutions to drive strategic sectoral agendas for our countries, supported in the quadruple helix constituted by academia, the productive sector, civil society, and the state. Regarding the challenges of cooperation and coordination, public and public-private, to build a dialogue about the specificities of our geographies and our communities. In terms of the design and implementation of the policies of science, technology, and innovation with a territorial approach, which will enable, at least in the case of Colombia, to continue to innovate through the programs by missions in articulation with our National Development Plan and the Sustainable Development Goals. So for the government of change, our wager is for science that is connected with the living forces of the nation, that is, their youngsters, the women, the farmers, the indigenous communities, and the Afro-descendants. We believe that the excluded territories, excluded from social, political, and economic participation, but territories that have epistemic borders and racial issues, need to have a new vision of science, technology, and innovation come to them that understands and integrates dialogues of the knowledge of those who have inhabited the territories and put them together with the tools brought by science and technology. In this context, in more than 200 years of our republic, it is an honor for us to be able to show to the world a new scientific agenda from a perspective that prioritizes democratization of knowledge and that will become stronger during these 2 years, during which we will be chairing this conference. And this strengthening happens thanks to the invaluable work that each of you as decision makers in terms of scientific policy are leading in your own countries. So it means that we need to continue to work in regional cooperation in science marked by innovation and open to heterogeneities, willing to listen to the voices of scientific and technological progress from diversity, but also to recognize the urgency of fundamental topics for life, social justice, environmental, cultural, and economic justice. An appeal of our countries has been to strengthen ICT tools, strengthen scientific structure in open science so that the data from research can be recognized as public good to which the citizens will have access so that we can all as citizens benefit. I would like to reaffirm from Colombia our commitment as the national government of promoting scientific collaboration with a differential, inclusive, and territorial approach that will place the most vulnerable and marginal communities at the core. I wish to thank each and every one of you for your participation and commitment during these 2 days. Your ideas and contributions have been fundamental to enriching this dialogue dialogue and to make progress in building a more just and prosperous region. As Dr. Marco Gina said in his initial presentation yesterday, the work doesn't come to an end with the end of this meeting. It just begins. The work begins now, and we want to remain active and strong for the next 2 years. And from now on, I would like to ask all the delegates to define a contact point in each country so that we can maintain constant, effective communication. And we will communicate in the next few days, Nicole Gligo from ECLAC, through the contact point. We will ask you to define within the next 2 weeks the list of the representatives of the public, private, and academic sectors that will be participating in each of the working groups that we have defined. Work begins now. And from Colombia, we reaffirm this collective commitment for development, for the transformation required by Latin America and the Caribbean, so that our countries can march towards a society of knowledge. Thank you very much to all. Now we have a cultural show. It's a representation of our Colombian diversity. We have the Tierra Colombiana, a ballet, Colombia from coast to coast. This is created by Fernando Urbina Shagun 16 years ago, and we have professional dancers and musicians that will delight you from now on.